What's up, you guys? Hope you're doing well. My name is Rob Allen. I'm a direct response copywriter who's generated over $100 million in sales. And in this video today, I actually want to share a presentation that I did earlier this year at the big online marketing conference, AdWorld. A lot of people actually really loved this session. I talked about some of the secrets behind how I've been able to drive hundreds of millions of dollars in results for businesses that I've written copy for my own personal brand. And a lot of people love this session. So I actually wanted to make the encore available to everyone. Now, one thing to note, when I gave this talk, I was actually doing it for a cold audience, people who never heard of me before. So it takes a few minutes for me to wind up because I introduced myself and things of that nature. But if you guys are fans of my content, if you guys are fans of email, if you write email on behalf of businesses, or you want to really take your email results to the next level, you are going to love this one. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this leaked presentation. Welcome to this next training session. And I am super excited to get into my presentation today, which is going to be all about $100 million emails, and specifically how you can turn your email list into a money printing, engagement boosting machine. With me, Rob Allen. So some of my goals for today's presentation are to lay out the case for why I believe email is still the #1 most powerful channel for new customer acquisition, retention, growing LTV, word of mouth marketing, and so much more. And yes, I say this even though I know there are a lot of sexier channels out there. You know, email is nothing new, but if you can actually get this channel right, it can be the single most powerful channel you turn on or turn up the volume on in your business today. And I also want to share my 4 fundamental laws of $100 million emails. These are the rules that I go in and apply to any business's email program, and that the revenue, the engagement, all the metrics of success we look for in a successful, healthy business go up across the board. So I want to lay those out, and you're going to want to take screenshots of this. And I want to also show how not following these rules can completely destroy your success with an email program. You know, we see brands that violate these rules, and then their email program is like, you know, not really as successful as they like, or not generating the amount of revenue that they like. And they turn a blind eye to it to go to these sexier places. But go in, just apply these rules, and your email program will be exponentially better. And then I also want to give you some proven email ideas that fit into this framework that you can use to sell out new product launches, write better sales emails, increase engagement amongst your fans, starting as fast as today, and so much more. So hopefully you guys are excited about that. So who am I? Who is this guy talking about email like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread? My name is Rob Allen, and I am a copywriter and conversion nerd. Seriously, this is the type of stuff that I wake up and think about all day. I love email, and I've generated over $100 million in sales almost exclusively through that channel. And I've been featured in places like Forbes, Entrepreneur, Founder Magazine, all that places, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a self-promotional guy, but what I do is put together this slide just to say, hey, this guy might actually know what he's talking about. He's not some mystery man. You can Google me. You can see I've written in successful places, and you can see emails that I've written for tons and tons of brands. And I also run a site called kingsofconversion.com where I publish copywriting tips every day. And so maybe some of you guys are thinking like, wow, this guy is obsessed with email like it's 1999 or something. And that is true. I am excited about email more than ever because of some very unique advantages that this channel offers. Because, you know, I am in the marketing world. I know that there are a lot of sexier places to potentially be spending your time and money, but I want to make the case for why email is getting more exciting than ever before. You know, back in 1971, the first email was sent. So new channels have popped up since then, like TikTok, YouTube ads, Facebook ads, Instagram, all that stuff. So email is definitely nothing new. And iOS changes are making it potentially even harder to track opens and get real contact info. I don't know if any of you guys saw the update that kind of came out with that hide my email address, but like now you're starting to see some emails slip through when people join an email list, and you're saying, this isn't a real email. This is like something that Apple has like hidden the code of. So you don't even have their real contact information. And not going to lie about it, you know, as the email is a channel, you're competing against things that are fast moving, songs on TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube, and so much more. So there's a lot stacked against it, but maybe consider this. Email is still one of the very few places that we can create one-on-one communication with our audience. By that, I mean, when your customer gets an email sent to them and they open it up, there's no other ads going on unless you put one in your email. You know, they're experiencing that communication that you sent to them on a one-to-one basis. And that is virtually unreplicated across any other channel. You know, if you look at something like TikTok or Instagram, there's like 10 things competing with you at all times for your attention. But email, you can get that focused one-on-one time that you don't really get to see with any other channel, which is super powerful. And excluding, one of the big email companies just like completely crashing on a day, you can reach your customers in seconds. With other channels, you cannot even begin to do that. Like the organic reach on Facebook has dropped to essentially zero at this point. So if I write an email and I push it out, I can be in my customer's inbox within seconds. What other channel offers you that kind of benefit? And it's going to get to them unless you just are sending spammy stuff, and don't do that. But that is an unprecedented amount of ability to be able to get into that customer inbox just virtually instantly like that. And reach on these channels is essentially free. When you're signed up for an email program, obviously you got to pay on a monthly basis to store those contact information and send, but it is way cheaper, and it's actually getting cheaper over time relatively than a lot of other channels, which we continue to see the cost of ads just go up and up and up. But email costs are essentially virtually free or decreasing on a relative to a contact basis, which is very cool. And when you're a marketer and you're saying, hey, I get to reach my customers, and it's actually becoming more efficient over time. And when you have a contact's email address, you can stay in touch with that person for years to come. Assuming they don't ever change that email, that customer could actually be in your database, and you could be marketing them for 10 plus, 20 plus years, and you're talking to the same person. With other channels, that is not the case at all. Maybe they unfollow you, maybe they don't start to see the same ads. We don't control it, but with email, we can. So in other words, I like to say there is a lot to love about email. And if you're in the 21st century, you really can't get by and having a business without an email list. So that's why I'm really excited about it. And maybe it even offers some perks that other channels do not. The question is, if you're on board with saying, hey, email is something I want to pay attention to, I've heard email's not dead for the past five years in a row. How do you actually make it so that your emails are special and get those next level results that I'm talking about today? So that's what I want to be talking about. And to really begin this conversation, what we need to do is first actually make a choice and talk about the two types of email lists that we can see. And what I want you to do is kind of put aside any beliefs that you might have about emails for just a minute and just ask a question, because what we see is there are two types of email lists, really. On the left-hand side, I put an example of one of these, which are, deal and very image-driven emails where, it almost looks like you're getting an email that is mailing you a coupon packet. I don't know if you ever go down to your mailbox and you open it up and you just open it up and there's a pack of coupons in there. But some email programs work just like this. And not to put any specific companies on blast, but I saw Gap actually sent this email to me the other day. And so I thought it was a great example of one where you see there's just an image, there's a 15% off code. And, there's a lot going on in this email in terms of images and offers, but we don't really see any type of text or personalization or custom messaging going on to that individual user there. On the other hand side, we have an email that I sent to my list, and it's actually just story-based emails that are, using stories from my own life, stories that I grab from the outside world, and I write to an individual person on a one-on-one basis. And notice there's not an image to start this one out. It's not even clear there's a deal right away. It says last month, a speakeasy opened up in downtown Boise, where my girlfriend and I live, and like clockwork, my girlfriend's bougie cocktail and tennis shot up. The Sagittarius in her loves being the first to discover underground up-and-coming cocktail bars before anyone else. And so we had to check it out. And so it starts out with a little bit of a story. And so this is a decision we have to make when we think about the types of emails we want to send to our list. Do we want that personal feel? Do we want to leverage, some elements of storytelling in our emails? Or do we want to go the, coupon generator route? Both can be successful, but there are different magnitudes of success that we can achieve when we treat our email program in a couple different ways. So I wanted to ask a couple questions. When you see these two types of email lists, which do you think you are most likely to regularly read? And which of these looks like an email from a friend? And which of these do you think you are most likely to get a bond between you, the sender, and the reader for a very long time? Now, I know these are some leading questions, but in my case, the types of emails that I choose to send are that second email option that we put together there, where email is not just a batch and blast marketing channel for us. It's a relationship building, super fan creating, hyper engaged follower growing money printing machine, which is what all the business owners want. And so this is the type of email list that I specialize in writing and helping brands create, which is a very different approach. But if we can make that decision just for a second, we want to choose to write that more personalized style. So what can we achieve? And one thing I want to say just before we get into the nuts and bolts of it is that this isn't just something that small brands do. Big brands also do this at scale too. I put a couple examples of them from, BioTrust, Brooklinen, Kettle and Fire, brands like that, where you'll see the CEO or the founder or the customer support manager come in and write very personalized messages to their fans. So you can actually do this at scale. You don't have to be a teeny tiny brand doing one-on-one messaging. You can be a big brand and do this really, really well too. It just comes down to that choice. Do I want to treat email as that relationship channel, or do I want to treat it as, an opportunity just to send coupons to my fans? Now, I don't know about you, but I like the relationship route because it offers some very unique advantages. So if we make that choice, what are the rules? What are the frameworks that we can start to apply to our emails so that they are in a whole different category, and so that you can send an email and it generates hundreds of thousands or even potentially millions of dollars that we've seen that when we take this personalized email route? So I want to talk about my 4 laws of emails done right. And the first big rule, and this is the one that is the foundation of everything we do when we treat emails this way. We're going to use characters, not a blanket brand voice. And by that, what I mean is we're going to actually introduce key roles and key people from our business and put those in front of our customers. Because, since the beginning of time, this has been the way that humans have communicated. We have really bonded over, knowing a person and being able to, receive personalized messages from people. I like to go to this place in our city. It's a local brewery. And I like to be able to go in and actually talk to the person at the cash register, and they know me over time. So it's really cool to be able to, connect the character, one of the people in that business to me. And then it's not just the brand writing to me. It is actually a unique individual who's getting into contact with me. So it provides a whole different level of engagement with the emails that you send. So who are the types of characters that you could potentially introduce in your business? Well, naturally, obviously, you've got the founder, you have potentially the head of customer support, you have marketing managers, you have, potentially social media managers if they're more forward facing. You can bring all of these people out who play key roles in your business and actually have them communicate to your customers over email as a channel. I put some examples up here of times we've done this in the past, but we actually apply this to any brand that we work with in our agency and things like that. So here's one where the vice president of operations at this company reached out to customers and he said, "Hey, I know hearing from you is a bit unusual, but I'm reaching out because I need your help. You see, my team put in a big purchase order of our number 1 selling product, and normally that wouldn't be a problem, but because this stuff normally flies off the shelves. But then we reformulated, added some new stuff, and that left me with a ton of inventory that we would no longer be selling. So the founder of this business has asked me to actually get rid of all of it today. Seriously, every tub has to go, no exceptions. So I'm doing something we've never done before. We're practically giving these products away." And so this came on behalf of a business that had overstocked something. They changed the formula, and then they needed to get rid of this inventory. And we didn't use that as an opportunity to say, "Hey, get a free gift with purchase," a big image in the email. We took this in a whole different direction. We had the vice president of operations actually write this email and write it to the fans. And this ended up being one of the best sales in this company's history because they open it up and they're like, "Wow, this is true." And they are siding and wanting to actually help with this character in the business. Another example of that was, and one time we were working with a business that sold a lot of products on Amazon. So they had a big Prime Day sale. Their inventory manager actually sent him this text: "Dude, inventory on a few of your SKUs has been flying off the shelves. I'm worried that you might actually sell out. This Prime Day deal is insane." And so we put this real conversation that they're having in the email itself. And this ended up being the overselling the product in 72 hours. So that is an example of where we're taking these characters and we're folding in stories into our emails so that it's not just like image, buy 2, get 1 free, and maybe you buy, maybe you don't. No, this is something that, and especially when you do this over and over again, your customers start to be like, "Wow, I'm a part of this. I know when this person contacted me. I want to help this person out. I am bonded to this brand because I know that I'm getting communicated to on a one-on-one basis." So it provides a whole different layer of results. Now, That's rule number one. And if you just want to follow that rule, your email program will exponentially get upgraded. But we want to talk about some other things that we layer in here as well. So rule number two of $100 million emails is we don't do deals. We actually tell stories. So we tell stories, not just deals. Now, you might be a part of email list where, you just get that deal a day for 455 days in a row. It's just the same 10% off coupon or free shipping coupon over and over again until Black Friday. And potentially you open and engage with those emails. But by and large, in the billions of emails that we've actually sent on behalf of brands and our own stuff, we find that those types of email programs do average to mediocre at best. The email programs that see those, $40 a month, $100 a month per subscriber on the list are the ones that choose to go the story route. And, this is something that has ingrained in people as far as time goes, but we love stories. Think about some of the things that have happened to you for the brands that you really love. It's probably wrapped in a story. Maybe you went to a bike shop and the first time that the owner interacted with you, he was really kind of engaging about telling you about the first time he got on a bike or whatever. For me, that type of stuff just stands out forever. And your customers will forget the deals that you send, but they will never forget the stories that you tell them. So I wanted to show just a quick example of before and after of this. One of the things that we do in our business is we have a couple of email training programs. And one of them is we teach people how to be really good with an ESP called Klaviyo. And, the typical approach to launching a product like this might be like, an image of the product and then talk about just bullet benefits and say, enroll now in this course. And that's fine. And you'll get clicks on emails like that. But in my experience, you'll beat it 10 times over if you choose to go the story route instead. So here's an example on the left of, it says, I know this is so cheesy, but we got the Klaviyo tattoos. That's not Photoshop. That's Amanda and I both proudly repping our Klaviyo skills, at least until the next shower. So we got these wash on, wash off tattoos that we had promised people if we had gotten a certain amount of sales of the product in the initial launch, we would get a tattoo. And so I ordered these little wash on, wash off tattoos, and I sent that out to my email list, and it performed incredibly well. It actually was the best performing email I had sent about this course ever. And notice it's not at all even the salesy environment. What it is a story that there are some elements of social proof baked into it because they know, a certain number of people bought it before we would have done this. But by and large, all it is me kind of telling a story and taking the route of something memorable instead of going with the bland, click here to get this thing. So stories can be so powerful, and you can tell stories about anything. You can pull from moments of your everyday life. You can pull from stories of your customers. You can pull from random events, and we'll get into some of those proven examples of exact ideas you can use. But I wanted you to make the decision that you are going to contact your customers in a way that is story-based rather than just that deal-based, because they'll remember the stories, but they'll forget the deals. So just remember to do the things that are likely to be memorable over the long term and to make those long-term decisions instead of short-run things. Now, let's talk about the third rule of emails done right. What we want to do is have fun / a personality, not just facts. One thing that you might see a lot of email programs do over time is either turn up the volume on intensity and they're like trying to fearmonger, or they just are so dry that anyone in the world could have written them. But one thing that we love to do for brands that we advise or for our own content is to say, hey, we want your personality to shine through in your writing, because this isn't just a channel. Remember, we're treating it as a relationship building channel, and you can turn up the volume on how people perceive your writing and perceive your marketing when you choose to inject personality into your emails. So I put an example of one there on the right-hand side where you can kind of see we were working with a CBD brand, and we could have done the most boring emails in the world. We could have written, dry stuff like, this will help you sleep better. It does reduction of anxiety, whatever. And that's what most brands do. But we chose to really lean into some elements of this founder's personality. And, he was really playful, and we had a video of him, a little GIF of him where he was dumping hemp seeds on himself. And it was just really fun. And you can see that kind of bleeding through in the copy. And those emails were some of the best performing emails that this brand ever sent to their list. And people don't forget this stuff. So just being willing to lean into that personality element and be a little weird, find whatever works for you. You don't have to be funny. Like, I love to tell jokes in my emails, but everyone has a distinct personality. And when you can lean into that with your emails, your readers and your customers see that, and they want that, and they crave it over time. They actually start to beg you for emails. We've had many brands where they start to inject some personality and really just have their own voice in the content itself. And customers are begging for more emails. And these are sales emails typically, keep in mind. So the fourth fundamental law, and this is the one that sometimes pushes people into the most elements of uncomfortability, is that you want to send many times per week, not just 1 to 2 times, or even less that we see sometimes brands do. Here's an example of me. I send an email every day to my list, and some people are like, that's too much, but not when you're treating email in this way, with characters, with stories, and having fun and a personality. These are things that are taking your readers on a journey, and you can contact them as many times as you want because of one fundamental thing. You're not turning the dial up on sales. You're not just sending coupons that people push into spam. That is a reason to not send emails every day. But in this case, we're staying super relevant. So our customers are thinking about us constantly. Every single day that we have a contact point with them, we're taking that relationship a bit further. They're looking forward to the content that we send them, so that emails actually are something they're waiting on the edge of their seat to get on a daily basis. I can show you screenshots of many times where customers are like, did you forget to send an email that day? It's like, oh no, I actually forgot to check my spam, and for some reason it went to my spam, but I found it. And that's so exciting because normally you're going to actually be making sales of products in these emails, but it's not just about the immediate sale. And that's something I want to be clear about. It's about the long game as well, where you are building that anticipation, where you are, building that relationship for years to come. So it's about making that commitment that you're going to send way more frequently than a lot of brands do, but that element where you're top of mind, they're thinking about you, they're loving your content, it completely changes the game. And if you follow these 4 fundamental rules of emails done right, that's how you could have a wildly successful email program if you do nothing but that. And in my experience, anytime a brand just makes sure they follow these rules, you're able to turn it into, if not the most powerful channel, one of the most powerful channels relatively fast. So let's say you're willing to agree about these things and you're willing to say, okay, I'm willing to try these 4 fundamental laws of $100 million emails. And you're willing to test this out. How does this actually go into practice? So let's talk about some proven email ideas that fit this framework, and maybe just kind of say yes if any of these things are applying to things that are going on in your business in the future, because I promise it's going to be super relevant to you if it is. Do you have any new product launches on the horizon? Do you want to make more sales of an existing product that you already have? Do you want to send more regular, engaging content to your customers or subscribers? Would you like to boost the goodwill amongst your fans and your readers? And do you like sharing news or information that will get your audience charged up and possibly primed to buy? If you're nodding yes to any of these things, I promise you this will be super powerful for you, because we're going to get into some exact frameworks of each of these. So let's talk about for first one, new product launches. Maybe you have a new product launch coming up on the horizon. How do you sell it out upon release? Now, the old way of doing this, the way most brands do, is, you got some text up top, the product, the image there, maybe a couple of lifestyle shots, add the cart button, email done, right? And in my experience, this kind of gets, average to mediocre results at best. So we choose not to do that. When we follow our 4 fundamental laws of email, we're going to get a whole different experience. So if we have a new product launch coming up on the horizon, we treat it as almost if it's a movie that's coming out. It's seeded for months in advance. We get that trailer. We're teased about the product for months and months and months. So one of the things we've done in the past with supplement brands we've worked with is we've, shown some photos of the founder in the factory or on the farms. We'll write whole emails where we're sharing discoveries of kinks in the manufacturing process or different things that other brands might do or compromises they might make in making the product that we're not going to make. So we're basically just taking them behind the scenes. We're sharing discoveries along the way. And then when it's actually getting close to the time we want to release it, we'll tease it. So I kind of blurred it out just a little bit there so you can get an example of it, but we'll, actually put an image of the product and we'll blur out the packaging. We're like, it's coming soon. This thing has been years in the making or months in the making, whatever it is. And we're sharing the whole experience with the customers along the way. And by the time that day comes for the launch, we are able to sell it out. sometimes in as fast as 48 hours or less, with tens of thousands of units we've moved using this exact process. And it's not like these things aren't going on in your business anyways. You're having conversations with suppliers, you're meeting these people, you're sometimes going out there, but you need to communicate that to your customers instead of hiding it behind this black wall and then just saying, hey, the new product is here. It makes a massive difference in the results that you get. Now, how do you make more sales of an existing product? So the old way that we see a lot of people doing this is, very similar to other emails that we saw before, where it's like introducing the product. Here's all these sales, discount, discount a day for 450 days in a row, whatever it is. That violates almost every single rule in our 4 fundamental laws. So we don't do it. So the approach that we typically take is totally different. And the new way that I would like you to consider is, if you have an existing product in your catalog, your customers are probably enjoying it. So share those experiences with people along the way, but also be willing to grab elements of your lifestyle and, you as the founder, or elements of your customers' lifestyles, or whatever it may be, and put that in front of people as they're experiencing the product. Here's an example of an email that I sent to my email list where it's like, why copywriters need more time off the grid than you'd expect. This weekend, my girlfriend and I went on our first ever camping trip. I got a photo of it. We roasted hot dogs over an open flame, sipped wine over sunsets. It's a very personalized email. And at the end, it actually ends up pitching a freelancing product. So all am I doing to make sales of an existing product is pulling elements of my life and stories from my day-to-day business and actually putting it in front of customers that ties back to the core promises and the core outcomes of things that I promise. So for me, that is a promise that you can, make money freelancing or as a writer. It's really cool to be able to just take random days off. This is a really cool way of showcasing that rather than just sending, a deal a day on the product. And I think it would burn out my list instead of having them be engaged, because they don't have to buy off this email if they don't want to, but it works really well to be able to do these things compounded over time. So pulling out those stories from you, your customers, your audience, and showcasing your product of how it actually works in real life makes for a world of a different experience on your email list. Now, how do you send more regular, engaging content that gets your audience super charged up to read your stuff? I see a lot of brands take this approach where it's like articles you might like, and they'll list reasons to read it and they want you to click over. So they're just trying to get you engaged with more stuff rather than just buying right away. Maybe that content is shaped around influencing your buying decisions down the road, but it's kind of boring if we're being honest. So the approach that we typically take and we advise brands to take is to completely go the opposite direction. Go pull some elements of news from the day-by-day world that your audience is probably paying attention to anyways, and be willing to write about it. So recently I saw this article where, Netflix was apparently going to change the way that users can interact, where you can't share your password with people, which obviously has a lot of people panic because I think Netflix password sharing is super common. So I know that almost everyone probably is either experienced Netflix or, is a Netflix subscriber. So I wrote about it to my email list and actually tied this back to a upcoming product launch that we have. So I grabbed relevant news that's super engaging to the world at large, and then I put that in front of my email list in a way that was tied to something that we're doing. Here's another example of a brand we've worked with in the past called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. It has a bunch of financially savvy people on his email list. And we actually wrote about this hamburger costs $250. What the heck? And so it just starts out as like, this hamburger costs $250, $250. And we link to the article about the burger that costs that much. And it's like, why? What? And how does it really taste 50 times better than a $5 burger from In-N-Out? Notice our first reaction to seeing a $250 burger is ridiculous. And then, we go on to actually pitch a product that's about letting yourself experience luxury experiences and things of that nature. So we took this article that we knew was causing a buzz amongst our readers because they were financially savvy people, and they're probably not the kind of people to just drop $250 on a hamburger. And we put it in front of them and we brought it in a relevant way to something that we actually offer. So being willing to do that rather than just going this bland, here's articles you might enjoy, and then putting that content in front of your readers can just spike engagement. And sometimes you want to grab things that make your readers happy, make them potentially angry, just get them charged up. If there are any types of content that is buzzing around your circle, don't hide from it. lean into it, and you'll see that engagement spike throughout your email list. And anytime, this goes back to just principles of marketing 101, but anytime you're able to take news and make that and tie it to an offer that you're making, people pay attention to it a lot more. It seems fresh. It seems as a new reason to engage with your stuff. Now, that's a really cool one. So hopefully you guys steal that one. Now, how do you boost goodwill amongst your most engaged fans? I put this example of the old way of doing it, which, most brands, when you place an order from them, the most you're going to get is like, here's how to track it. And that's not a dig at any brands, but that's what I see most of the brands doing. It's like, thank you for your order. It's on the way. Here's how to track it. And you don't really hear much thinking going on beyond that. So this approach actually violates literally every law we're talking about with our emails. So in my experience, what you want to do is, take the opportunity to almost treat your super fans as if they are that. Super fans who you would get in contact with, write a personal letter to them, thanking them for their readership, for their loyalty, for being a customer. Here's an example of one. I've actually created a whole segment of my email list that is dedicated to the 1%ers, the people who've opened, clicked, bought more than anybody else. And I say, this is a special message going out to a tinier sliver of my email list, just the 1% of all my readership. Why? Give me just a second to explain. As you know, in just a few hours, we will enter the new year with new possibilities, new goals, new versions of you to put forward into the world. Every year, I like to spend this day, New Year's Eve, reflecting on the past 12 months. It's like taking one last look at your front door before leaving home on a long trip. And man, last year was a wild ride. And I go on to say a couple milestones we've achieved, and I say none of it would be possible without you. I'm super thankful for you. So this is a super engaging email. This takes readers on a journey with you, and they get it and they feel truly appreciated, which is exactly what you want to have. And this email got hundreds and hundreds of organic replies of people saying how the content helped them, or how they were super excited, or how much they appreciated that message. And that goodwill is something that you cannot trade on a one-to-one basis. And you cannot look at me and tell me that thank you for your order is the same as writing that personalized note. So you can turn that dial up anytime they do something. If they've opened a certain number of emails, if they bought a certain number of times, take a second to actually thank these people, and they will come along with you for life. Now, how do you share news or potentially talk about information that's circling around that will get your audience charged up and possibly even primed to buy? Recently it was Restaurant Week here in Boise, Idaho, where I live. And one thing I saw was a lot of brands were just kind of taking the approach of, this week is Restaurant Week, get 50% off. And that's fine. But, one thing you want to try to do is not just get away with fine in your marketing. You want to go for excellence. So if this was under the laws of our email, it doesn't really make any of them. There's no story. We're not seeing characters introduced. It's basically just a deal. And, there's no reason that I should, do this any other time. Now, one really cool example from the outside world of this was there was a restaurant owner who actually asked his customers to leave a 1-star review on Yelp. And one of the things he was trying to do is, this was when Yelp was really starting to get a lot of attention in the news about, holding some businesses hostage because of their pricing model or whatever. And he's like, I'm not dealing with it at all. So he took the thing that was super trendy, this Yelp, where they were holding restaurants for hostage. And he said, I don't care what my rating is. Come in here, leave a 1-star review, and actually tear us to shreds. And his customers laughed about it because he was giving deals out in exchange for leaving bad reviews to show how much he didn't care about it. He ended up getting a ton of press for this, like featured in all these major news outlets. His super fans came in, just poured in. And the 1-star reviews would be amazing. They'd be like, this guy gave me an incredible deal on an amazing slice of pizza, 1 star. And, it's just kind of this cheeky thing just to say, I'm avoiding these rules altogether. And your audience comes out in droves. And I think he ended up growing his business like exponentially because of all the buzz, because of all the attention that got poured into this. And notice he took a totally different approach. He literally took the exact opposite of Restaurant Week, where send a 50% off coupon. He's like, come on in, leave us a bad review. I'll give you a 50% off the next time you come in. And this got his audience really paying attention to his messaging. So anytime that you're able to see a topic that's trending and potentially put your own spin on it, or lean into it, or take the opposite approach and share it with your audience, it provides a powerful boost in response. So hopefully this has given you guys some additional ways of thinking about email, not only as a channel, but as a relationship building, money printing, engagement boosting machine that can go into your business. And hopefully these laws can really help you go forward. And hopefully you got some ideas to take forward into new product launches or whatever is going on in your business, because email is exciting. So I will see you guys later, and hopefully you guys give me a follow on Twitter. That's my handle there. And I will see you hopefully at the next Ad World.